Hi, everybody. So today I thought we'd revisit my 10-chord routine for practicing Barry Harris's sixth diminished idea. But this time, let's do it in the drop 3 voicing, which will give us some real creative avenues. And I want to kind of follow creativity and see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens. So a drop 3 voicing, right, is... and for more information on this, there's a video on drop voicings, drop 2, drop 3, drop 2 and 4, and 3 note, okay? If we look at a C6, and we take the third voice from the top, 1, 2, 3, the E is the third voice, right? We drop that down, we end up with this, and we can invert this chord. Okay, that would be how you would invert it. And to do it with a sixth diminished, you would start where C is the drop 3, and you'd end up with this chord. Right? Or actually, let's go even further down. There you go. That's where we would start. And then you would come up the diminished. Okay. And I just like to hold the pedal on the bottom so I can hear this. You know. How many songs do that? And what I just did here was I borrowed a diminished note, right? You know, a lot of people say that's a C major 7. It's really a C6 with a movement, right? So let's do that same thing and borrow the diminished on the 6 and borrow the 6 on the diminished. Here's the diminished. I'm going to borrow... this wrong. Let's try it again. There it is. And that actually kind of looks like a D minor 7 flat 5 to G7. But it's really just, you don't think like that. You think like it's just the diminished. Let's take that all up like that with the move. That is so pretty. What I like about this voicing is it gives the move some room, and it puts it in this nice tenor voice. Right, where are we now? Right, and if you ever wondered if Barry Harris's system can sound modern. By the way, for more on this borrowing concept, there's a whole video on borrowing, so I'll link to that in the description as well. Let's start again, sorry. What's this one gonna be? Oh my God. Now I'm going to borrow the 6. Here's my diminished. I'm going to borrow the 6. And of course, this is in C, the people's key. So, you know, we would need to practice it in all the other 12 keys. So that was just the first one out of 10. Let's take a look at the second one. The second one is the second sixth chord rule on the major, and there's another video to link to, the video on the sixth chord rules. So make sure to check that one out, and I will link to it as well. So a G6 is the major sixth that's found on the fifth of C, and that gives you a C, beautiful C major 7. And while we're making connections, the G6 and the C6 are connected by a diminished. So you can do something like this. In a drop 3, it would look like this. If this was our C6 drop 3, where would our moves be? They would be here. And that's a little low for a second, but I might do it up here. And as you can see, as we get up the scale, we're going to have a little more room to do that move. But let's start low because I like low. Now, I'm going to come up a G6 diminished scale. Okay, so I'm going to use an F sharp diminished. And that's a very pretty sound. Again, modern. There's really nothing old-fashioned sounding about this sound to me, to my ears. What happens if I borrow? Sorry. In other words, doing the borrowing on the G6 diminished gives you some very interesting sounds. I don't want to spend all the time on this because we have 8 more chords to get to. But experiment with borrowing on the other rules, and you get some crazy sounds. All right, next were the 2 minors. So we had a minor 6, right? With C being the drop 3, it would look like this, right? And take it up the diminished. Maybe borrow. Oof, this is so pretty. Again, so modern. I've never really played Yesterdays like that before. Yeah. What was it? I lost it. that is what gives you the movement. All right, so that's minor 6 diminished, experimenting with borrowing. Maybe we won't go down this borrowing rabbit hole on everyone, but I don't know about you, but I'm really curious. I've never really done this before. Here comes the minor 7 flat 5, which is an E minor 6 diminished. E flat minor 6 diminished. I'm starting to sound like my students. Right? And I like to make this be the 2 chord of a B flat minor. I like to put it in context. You know, just so that I know how to do it, you know. But anyway, let's get back to C minor. Now we've got C7. We've got 5 C7s to do, okay? So 5 C7s. So first is going to be the C7 diminished. So it'll be, and here it is in drop 3. Right? And again, experiment with borrowing. I know I said I wouldn't, but the wrong one. The diminished is the B. Whew. Did that one wrong. That one has some crazy sounds too. On the plain old C7, just by borrowing from the diminished, you get some dissonances that are almost, you can't even write them out in a, you know, C7, major 7 to 7. How are you going to write that? That's insane. But just borrow from the diminished, and it opens up a whole framework, okay? We better speed up here. C7 flat 5. Okay? And again, you know, if you're not sure about what this 10 chord routine is, look at the original video. It's my very first video on this channel, my 10 chord routine. So that'll clear it all up. Whatever I don't get to today, because I got to speed up a little, because I don't want it to be too long. Last but not least, we've got our 3 rules on the 7th. The 7 sus, which is a B flat 6 chord, so that will look like this. And again, very pretty sound. Very, very pretty sound. And again, I'm going to use B flat's diminished notes, which is like an A diminished, okay? So A diminished, B flat, A diminished, B flat, A diminished, B flat. Okay, then we settle the sus. I bet you nobody played a 2/5 or a sus 2/5 like that before. This ninth in the bass kills me. Anyway, and last but not least, you've got this. So we've got a G minor 6, and I'm going to use G's diminished, which is the same diminished, F sharp diminished, which is also A diminished from before. So it's the same exact diminished note. Here we go. Let's run this through. F sharp diminished, G minor 6, F sharp diminished, G minor 6, F sharp diminished, G minor 6, F sharp diminished, G minor 6. Okay? Oh, I want to try borrowing on this. Okay. And I'm going to borrow the third voice, which is what I've been doing all along. But you don't have to be limited to that. You could borrow other ones too. But let's see what happens. So. Oh, but now I got to add this one down here. Then G minor 6, borrowing the diminished. I did that so wrong. That's where that one is. Imagine doing this. I would have never thought of doing that. Let's do this up an octave so I can hear it a little better. So we've got diminished, G minor 6. Oh, I did it wrong. This is the diminished, right? That's wrong. And I always mix this up. I always do this with a C7 diminished, which is this diminished. So it's easy to switch between them. So just be careful. So let's try that again. So we've got diminished. There it is. Oh, I'm so confused. Now I gotta do this diminished. Then I gotta do the 6 again. Then I gotta do the diminished, which is this. And I'll just do one more. So here's the 6. So I'll do. Right. So crazy notes. I promise I will look at this closer. Maybe we'll do a whole video on it. We'll see. But I wanted to get to the last one, which is the tritones minor, the C sharp minor 6. Drop 3 looks like this. I'm doing it up here because I think this sounds a little funky down here. Actually, it doesn't sound too bad at all. So that's going to give me a C diminished is going to be my diminished note. I just never cease to be amazed how pretty this is. That was a 10-chord routine in drop 3 and experimenting with borrowed notes. Again, in this Barry Harris world, there are different ideas that connect to each other. So we're connecting, borrowing with 6-chord rules with 6 diminished ideas, and we're connecting those three concepts. So again, I really hope that this is useful to you. I'm getting some really beautiful feedback on how much this is helping people's practice, and it's just amazing to hear that. So really, really appreciate it. If it is useful and you want to help support this content, please consider visiting my Patreon page, patreon.com/Isaac Raz, and make a contribution. You'll get access to transcripts and exclusive videos and other things that are for patrons only. And please make sure to like and subscribe and tell all your friends and help me build the channel. I really appreciate it, and I love all the comments. Let me know how you use this stuff. And yeah, keep swinging out there. See you on the next one.